200 hours, Taoyuan International Airport. The night hangs heavy and humid over the north of the island. Runway lights glow as faint amber strings stretching into the darkness. A solitary cargo plane taxis slowly toward the maintenance hangars, engines whining in a low pitch. Ground crew members in high-visibility vests wave light wands in rhythmic arcs. The main terminal stands silent, its vast glass walls reflecting the empty apron. Inside the perimeter fence, security guards walk their routine beats, flashlights cutting through the mist that clings to the grass verges. It is the deep lull before the morning rush, a moment of mechanical peace. A vibration begins in the ground. It starts as a subtle tremor in the soles of the guards' boots. The coffee in a mug on the control tower console ripples. The vibration grows into a low rumble that shakes the glass of the terminal. The radar operator in the tower leans forward, squinting at the green sweep. Static flickers across the display. A massive shadow passes over the moon, blotting out the light. The ground crew on the tarmac stops working. They look up. The noise becomes a deafening roar. Suddenly, the cloud layer tears open. Massive heavy transport aircraft scream overhead, flying dangerously low. Their engines thunder, drowning out the wind. Rear cargo ramps drop open like yawning mouths. The dark bellies of the planes vomit soldiers into the void. Hundreds of static lines snap tight against the metal fuselages. Canopies deploy with thunderous cracks that sound like pistol shots. The sky fills with falling silk mushrooms, blotting out the stars. Paratroopers descend rapidly, boots swinging toward the unforgiving concrete. Boots slam onto the tarmac. Knees buckle and roll in practiced unison. Paratroopers cut their risers immediately, the silk chutes collapsing into puddles of fabric. They unlimber assault rifles from their chests. They move with terrifying speed. Dark shapes sprint across the runway, ignoring the stunned ground crew. A security vehicle speeds toward the landing zone, lights flashing, siren wailing. A paratrooper drops to one knee. He raises a rocket launcher to his shoulder. The rocket hisses out. A trail of white smoke marks its path. It strikes the vehicle's grille dead center. The SUV explodes. The force of the blast flips the 2-ton machine into the air. It crashes down, upside down, a twisted heap of burning metal and rubber. The driver is hurled through the shattered windshield, his body rolling across the asphalt like a rag doll. Flames erupt, casting dancing shadows over the invaders.
Go, go, go!
A squad leader roars, his voice cutting through the chaos. He signals with a glowing green chem light. He chops his hand toward the fuel depot.
Secure the west quadrant, cut the lines!
2 squads break off from the main group. They sprint toward the fuel tanks, silhouetted against the burning wreck. Sniper rounds crack from the darkness near the perimeter. Glass shatters in the guard booths. A guard collapses, blood spraying the white concrete wall behind him. He clutches his neck, gasping for air as red fluid pools around his head. Wire cutters snap through the perimeter fence. Metal curls back under gloved hands. More troops flood through the breach. They toss grenades into the maintenance sheds. Boom, boom! Sheet metal doors blow off their hinges. Debris rains down on the pavement. Wood splinters and insulation fly through the air. Thick black smoke billows out, choking the night air with the smell of burning plastic and cordite. The paratroopers advance relentlessly, stepping over debris, weapons raised, scanning for targets. The first wave establishes a hard perimeter. Red flares pop in the distance, marking the secured landing zone. Overhead, the heavy transports bank away, their engines fading into the north. The runway belongs to the invaders. The silence is dead. ZO2 in 15 hours. Airport maintenance sector. The orange glow of the burning wreckage flickers against the corrugated steel of the massive hangars. Thick black smoke drifts low across the asphalt, obscuring the path to the terminal. The air smells of burnt rubber and ozone. The automated alarm system continues to scream, a rhythmic pulse that echoes off the concrete walls. 3 airport security cruisers screech around the corner of Hangar 4, their light bars flashing blue and red in the gloom. Tires smoke as the vehicles drift and skid to a halt, forming a makeshift barricade. Doors fly open. Security officers spill out, crouching behind the engine blocks. They raise their pistols and light submachine guns, aiming into the smoke. They shout warnings that go unheard in the din. Then the muzzle flashes erupt from the darkness. A torrent of automatic fire rakes the police vehicles. The windshield of the lead cruiser disintegrates into diamond dust. The glass sprays over the dashboard. The officer behind the wheel jerks violently as bullets punch through the door panel and slam into his chest. He slumps forward, his head hitting the horn, adding a continuous drone to the chaos. Sparks cascade off the pavement as rounds ricochet wildly. The paratroopers surge forward out of the smoke. They move in a wedge formation, weapons cycling rapidly. A security officer pops up to fire. A 3-round burst catches him in the throat. Blood sprays in a fine mist across the white door of the car. He collapses backward, clutching the wound, his legs kicking involuntarily against the asphalt. "Suppressing fire!" a squad leader yells. A machine gunner drops to the prone position. The heavy weapon roars. Large caliber rounds chew through the engine block of the second cruiser. Coolant explodes in a hissing cloud of steam. The metal hood crumples like paper. The remaining security officers break and run, sprinting for the open door of the maintenance office. They are cut down mid-stride. Bodies tumble and skid on the tarmac. The paratroopers reach the massive sliding doors of the main hangar. 2 soldiers slap rectangular explosive charges against the locking mechanism. They peel back the tape and pull the igniters. Breach! Breach! Boom! The explosion rips the steel door from its tracks. The heavy metal sheet flies inward, tumbling end over end. It crashes into a parked fuel truck with a deafening clang. Dust and rust rain down from the ceiling. Inside, terrified mechanics freeze, wrenches dropping from their hands. The paratroopers storm through the smoking hole, laser sights cutting through the dust. They zip-tie the civilians rapidly, shoving them to the ground. A soldier kicks open the rear exit. The path to the airfield control tower is now wide open. 0230 hours, air traffic control tower, level 12. The glass-walled cab floats high above the chaos like a detached island. Green radar sweeps glow softly in the semi-darkness, illuminating the pale, sweating faces of the flight controllers. Below them, the airfield burns in patchy clusters of orange fire. The controllers speak rapidly into their headsets, frantically diverting incoming commercial flights to alternate airports. The air conditioning hums, masking the distant sounds of gunfire. A heavy vibration shudders through the floor plates. The sound of boots hammering against metal grates echoes up the emergency stairwell. It grows louder, a rhythmic metallic thunder. The shift supervisor stares at the reinforced door. The handle turns, it is locked. Then the door frame disintegrates. A shotgun blast blows the lock mechanism clean out of the steel. The door kicks open with a violent crang, hitting the wall so hard it dents the plaster. Smoke from the breach charge pours into the sanitized room. Paratroopers surge through the doorway, black masks covering their faces, laser sights sweeping the room. "Down! Everybody down!" A private security guard standing by the elevator panics. He fumbles for the pistol on his belt. The lead paratrooper does not hesitate. He fires 2 rounds. The bullets strike the guard in the center of his vest. The impact lifts him off his feet. He crashes backward into a rack of radio equipment. Sparks shower down as the servers short out. He slides to the floor, gasping, blood pooling on the anti-static carpet. The controllers are ripped from their swivel chairs. Soldiers grab them by the backs of their shirts and hurl them to the ground. Faces slam into the floor, knees press into spines. Plastic zip ties zip tight around wrists. The room fills with the sounds of shouting and the rough handling of bodies. The squad leader steps over the prone bodies. He marches to the main lighting console. He raises the butt of his assault rifle and smashes the protective glass cover over the master switch. Shards of glass tinkle onto the control board. He grips the large red lever. He yanks it down. Instantly, the runway lights outside die. The approach strobes extinguish. The entire airport plunges into suffocating darkness. The amber glow is gone. Now, only the fires from the burning vehicles on the tarmac provide jagged, dancing light. The paratroopers activate their night vision goggles. Green phosphor light illuminates their eyes. They own the dark. 300 hours, runway 5 left. The darkness is absolute, broken only by the green strobe lights of the paratrooper landing zone markers. The humidity is turned into a light drizzle, slicking the runway surface. The wind picks up, howling through the smashed perimeter fences. The deep, chest-vibrating thrum of heavy turboprops returns, louder and deeper than before. A massive cargo plane materializes out of the gloom, flying barely 50 feet above the grass verge. It does not land. It flares its nose up aggressively. The rear ramp is already down, gaping like a cave. A drogue chute snaps open behind the aircraft. It catches the wind instantly. It pulls tight. Crash! An 18-ton armored vehicle rips out of the cargo hold. It rides a metal sled, hurling through the air for a split second. 3 massive parachutes deploy simultaneously, slowing the descent with a violent jerk. The vehicle slams into the soft earth beside the runway. The impact sends a shockwave through the ground that rattles the teeth of nearby soldiers. Dirt and grass spray 20 feet into the air. The suspension groans and compresses to its limit, metal shrieking against metal. Then the cables cut loose. The engines of the armored vehicle cough to life, roaring with a diesel growl. It tears free from the wooden pallet, tracks churning the mud into a thick paste. It spins on its axis, the turret swiveling toward the terminal road. Another plane screams overhead. Another impact. Another steel beast hits the ground. At the main terminal entrance, paratroopers work with frantic efficiency. Two soldiers swing sledgehammers against the glass revolving doors. The safety glass shatters into millions of diamonds, cascading onto the sidewalk. They drag a heavy machine gun through the debris. They mount it on a tripod behind a concrete planter, the barrel pointing down the main approach road. Sandbags are thrown into piles, creating a waist-high wall.
Sector 4 secure. Heavy weapons up.
A sergeant bellows. A civilian bus, empty and parked near the curb, becomes a barricade. An armored vehicle rams it from behind, metal crunches and buckles. The bus slides sideways, tires screeching, blocking the road completely. The armored vehicle backs up, its cannon locking onto the highway overpass. The paratroopers dig in, they check ammo belts, they wait. The airport is no longer a transit hub, it is a fortress. So 5:30 hours, Taiwan Strait. The sun is a pale, bruised line on the eastern horizon. The ocean heaves in rough gray swells, whitecaps tearing off the crests. A massive U.S. amphibious assault ship slices through the water, its steel hull towering above the waves like a floating cliff. The flight deck is a hive of controlled chaos. Rain lashes against the non-skid surface, mixing with the smell of jet fuel and salt spray. Turbines scream to life. The high-pitched whine drills into the skull. Massive tilt-rotor aircraft unfold their wings mechanically. Their prop rotors begin to spin, blurring into invisible discs of violence. Beside them, heavy transport helicopters shudder as their main blades bite into the damp air. The downwash flattens the flight deck crew's clothes against their bodies. Marines jog in single file toward the waiting aircraft. They are weighed down by heavy rucksacks, body armor, and assault rifles. They move with grim purpose, heads ducked against the rotor wash. They run up the rear ramps, boots clanging on the metal. Loadmasters scream over the engine noise, waving them into webbed seats. Safety harnesses click shut. The first tilt rotor lurches upward. It hovers for a split second, struggling against gravity. Then the engines tilt forward. It accelerates. It blasts over the bow, spray whipping up from the sea below. Another follows. Then another. A swarm of dark shapes fills the gray sky, banking hard toward the coastline. Inside the lead aircraft, a Marine sergeant racks the bolt of his rifle. Metal clacks against metal. He checks the chamber. He gives a sharp thumbs up to his squad. The bay door closes, sealing them in darkness. 600 hours, approach vector to runway 23. The coastline flashes by below, a blur of gray water meeting black rocks. The U.S. formation drops altitude, skimming just above the treetops to evade radar. The airfield emerges in the distance, a sprawling flatland of concrete and fire. Plumes of black smoke rise like pillars, marking the paratrooper positions. "LZ hot, 30 seconds!" the pilot screams over the intercom. Suddenly, tracer fire erupts from the ground. Green streaks of light zip past the cockpit windows. Thwack! A bullet punches through the floor of the lead tilt rotor. It pings off a metal strut inside the cabin. Marines flinch, instinctively curling tighter into their seats. The aircraft banks violently to the right, stomach-churning G-forces pressing everyone into the nylon webbing. The tilt rotors flare hard over the far end of the runway, engines screaming as they transition to hover mode. The rear ramps drop while the wheels are still 10 feet off the ground. "Go, go, go!" Thick ropes coil out of the back. Marines grab the lines with gloved hands. They slide down fast. Boots hit the concrete hard. They roll and come up firing. The noise is deafening. The roar of rotors overhead. The crack of supersonic bullets snapping past ears. The thump, thump, thump of heavy machine guns firing from the terminal. A Marine runs 2 steps and is jerked backward. A round catches his shoulder plate, spinning him around. He falls to the tarmac. A medic grabs his drag handle instantly, hauling him behind the cover of a concrete drainage ditch. The aircraft lift off immediately, dust and debris blasting the Marines on the ground. They are exposed. They are alone. A hail of bullets chips the concrete around them. "Move to the barriers, move!" The platoon sprints across the open expanse of the runway. They dive behind a line of concrete jersey barriers. Bullets slap into the other side of the stone, sending puffs of gray dust into the air. A squad automatic gunner slams his bipod onto the top of the barrier. He opens fire. Brass's casings spray onto the asphalt, tinkling like coins. The line is established. The counterattack has begun. 0630 hours, tarmac sector Bravo. The gray light of dawn reveals a wasteland of concrete. Rain drizzles steadily, mixing with oil and hydraulic fluid on the runway. The distance between the Marine line and the paratrooper positions is 200 yards of flat, open killing ground. Wrecked luggage carts and fuel pumps form a jagged line of cover for the enemy. Pop smoke! Pop smoke! 3 canisters arc through the air. They hit the wet asphalt and bounce. Thick white smoke billows out instantly, creating a wall of artificial fog. "Move up! Fire Team Alpha, go!" Marines vault over the concrete Jersey barriers. They sprint into the white haze, boots splashing in puddles. They fire blindly into the gloom ahead to suppress the enemy. Ahead, the paratroopers are dug in behind a train of steel baggage carts. They see the smoke. They open fire. Red tracer rounds zip through the white cloud. Bullets crack past the advancing Marines. One round strikes a Marine's helmet. The Kevlar deflects it. The impact snaps his head back. He stumbles, falls to one knee, shakes his head, and gets back up. He keeps running. A Marine grenadier stops. He levels his launcher. Thump! The grenade arcs over the smoke. It lands dead center on a baggage cart. Boom! The steel cart shreds, suitcases explode, shirts, pants, and toiletries rain down from the sky like confetti. Two paratroopers behind the cart are thrown backward by the blast, tumbling across the tarmac. Then the air fills with a high-pitched whistle. Incoming! Get down! A mortar shell slams into the runway 10 yards from the Marine advance. Crump. The explosion sends a shockwave through the ground. Concrete shrapnel sprays outward like buckshot. It tears through the smoke. A piece of jagged runway stone slices through a Marine's pant leg. He collapses, screaming, clutching his thigh. Blood pumps between his fingers, mixing with the rain. Corpsman, up! A medic slides into the mud beside the wounded man. He rips open a tourniquet. He cranks it tight. The screaming turns to grunts of pain. The medic grabs the handle on the Marine's vest. He drags him toward the cover of a tractor wheel. The rest of the squad pushes past them, firing relentlessly. They are gaining ground, inch by bloody inch. 700 hours, apron 3. The rain intensifies, washing soot and blood into the drainage grates. Marines press their bodies flat against the wet concrete of the Jersey barriers. The air is thick with gray smoke and the sharp tang of spent brass. The small arms fire from the terminal slackens momentarily. A deep mechanical growl rises above the battlefield. The puddles on the tarmac begin to ripple. Two paratrooper armored vehicles lurch out from behind the cargo terminal. They move aggressively, tracks clattering on the pavement. Their turrets swing in unison toward the Marine line. Boom! The lead vehicle fires its main cannon. The shell slams into a concrete barrier. The stone disintegrates. A massive cloud of dust and pulverized rock blasts outward. A Marine behind the wall is thrown backward by the concussion, his helmet skidding across the asphalt. The armored vehicles advance. They do not stop. Their coaxial machine guns open up, spitting a continuous stream of lead. Bullets chew up the ground inches from the Marines' boots. The squad is pinned. They cannot move. The steel beasts crush a baggage cart, flattening it into a sheet of metal. Then, a low, rhythmic chopping sound cuts through the din. It gets louder. Fast. Two U.S. attack helicopters sweep over the roof of Hangar 4. They fly barely 20 feet off the ground, noses angled down. They bank hard, revealing their weapon pods. The pilot depresses the trigger. Whoosh! Whoosh! Rockets streak out from the stub wings. They leave trails of white smoke. They strike the lead armored vehicle. Crack boom! The explosion is massive. A fireball engulfs the tank. The turret is ripped from the hull and hurled 50 feet into the air. It crashes down on top of a fuel pump. The hull turns into a burning coffin. Secondary explosions cook off inside the wreck, popping like firecrackers. The second vehicle tries to reverse. Its tracks spin frantically on the slick surface. The lead helicopter fires its chain gun. Brrrt. A stream of 30mm high explosive rounds tears into the vehicle's top armor. The metal rips open like a tin can. Sparks shower the tarmac. The engine block catches fire. Smoke pours from the hatches. The vehicle shudders and dies. The Marines rise from their cover. They scream battle cries. The path to the terminal is clear of heavy metal. So 30 hours, Terminal 2 main entrance. Black smoke from the burning armored vehicles drifts thick and oily across the drop-off lane. The massive glass facade of the terminal reflects the carnage outside, a shimmering wall of blue-tinted mirrors. Inside, shadows move quickly behind the reflection. A heavy silence falls over the entrance, broken only by the crackle of burning diesel. A squad of Marines sprints from the cover of a smoking wreck. They move low and fast, boots crunching on debris. They stack up against the concrete pillars flanking the revolving doors. A breacher rushes forward. He slaps a rectangular block of plastic explosive against the center of the glass. He sets the timer. He scrambles back to the pillar. Fire in the hole! Boom! The blast is sharp and concussive. The entire front wall of the departure level disintegrates. A storm of glass shards flies inward like a shotgun blast. The revolving doors are blown off their axis, skidding across the polished marble floor inside. The air fills with white dust and the smell of pulverized stone. Go! Move! Move!
Clear the room!
The Marines pour through the smoking hole. They step over twisted metal frames. Inside, the lobby is a cavernous kill zone. Paratroopers are entrenched behind the long rows of check-in counters. They open fire immediately. The sound of gunfire indoors is deafening, a cacophony of amplified cracks and echoes. Bullets chip the marble pillars. Stone splinters spray into faces. A round smashes into a hanging LCD flight schedule board. The screen explodes, showering the floor with sparks and plastic components. The point man dives behind a luggage trolley. He pulls the pin on a flash grenade. He hurls it over the check-in counter. Bang! A blinding white flash illuminates the hall. A concussion wave ripples the air. The Marines surge forward. They vault over the counters, weapons raised. A paratrooper, blinded and disoriented, stumbles backward onto a baggage conveyor belt. A Marine fires 2 rounds into his chest. The paratrooper collapses onto the moving rubber belt. His body is carried away through the rubber flaps into the baggage sorting area behind the wall. Another paratrooper pops up from behind the business class desk. He raises his rifle. A Marine saw gunner spots him. The heavy machine gun roars. A stream of bullets rips through the plywood desk. Wood splinters fly. The paratrooper is thrown back against the wall, sliding down, leaving a red smear on the airline logo. Clear right, moving left. The squad pushes deeper. Boots squeak on the blood-slicked marble. They check corners. They scan the mezzanine above. The lobby is secured, but the fight is moving up. 800 hours, duty-free shopping zone level 3. The wide corridor is a surreal landscape of luxury and violence. Overhead, emergency lights bathe the glossy floors in a sickly red glow. The air is thick with a strange, choking mixture of drywall dust, cordite, and expensive perfume from shattered display bottles. Silence hangs heavy, broken only by the crunch of glass under combat boots. A Marine squad moves in a stack formation along the wall of a high-end liquor store. Their movements are slow, deliberate. Barrels sweep left and right. They pass rows of pristine cognac bottles. A reflection moves in the glass of a display case across the aisle. Contact front, right side! The silence shatters. An assault rifle barrel pokes out from behind a stand of designer sunglasses. Muzzle flashes light up the gloom. Bullets rake the liquor store. Bottles explode in unison. Amber liquid sprays outward like a geyser, mixing with shards of glass. A Marine takes a round to his chest plate. The impact knocks the wind out of him, driving him back against a shelf. He grunts, slips on the wet floor, and fires back from the ground. The squad returns fire instantly. Their rounds tear through the sunglasses stand. Plastic frames and lenses fly into the air. The paratrooper behind it screams as wood splinters and metal fragments rip into his legs. He falls, knocking over the display. Push! Push up! A second paratrooper charges out of a cosmetics shop, screaming. He tackles the point man. Both men slam onto the polished tile floor. Their rifles clatter away. They grapple violently. The paratrooper strikes the Marine in the face with a clenched fist. Blood spurts from the Marine's nose. The Marine bucks his hips, throwing the weight off. He rips a combat knife from his vest. He plunges it downward. Thud. The paratrooper goes limp. The Marine shoves the body aside and scrambles up, chest heaving, face smeared with blood. Further down the hall, heavy fire erupts from a barricaded watch store. Paratroopers are dug in behind the reinforced counters. Bullets spark off the marble floor, pinning the Marines down. Frag out! A Marine pulls the pin on a grenade. He bowls it low along the floor. The metal sphere skitters across the tiles. It rolls straight into the shop entrance. Boom! The explosion blows the shopfront out. The tempered glass walls dissolve into thousands of pellets. High-end watches and jewelry are blasted into the corridor. The ceiling panels dislodge, raining dust and aluminum tracking down on the smoke. The shooting from inside stops. The squad moves up, stepping over the debris. They sweep the room. A single boot kicks a loose diamond necklace across the floor. The aisle is secure. So 8:30 hours terminal roof. The rain has stopped, leaving the air humid and still. Puddles on the flat gravel roof reflect the gray sky. 2 US Marines lie prone behind an air conditioning unit, their camouflage uniforms soaking up the water. The spotter holds binoculars to his eyes. The sniper adjusts the bipod of his heavy-caliber sniper rifle. Through the scope, the control tower cab is a fishbowl suspended in the sky. Inside, silhouettes move frantically. A paratrooper officer paces near the glass, shouting into a radio handset. Wind 3 knots, left to right, the spotter whispers. Range 400 yards, send it. The sniper exhales. His finger squeezes the trigger. Crack! The rifle kicks back hard against his shoulder. A .50 caliber round tears through the air, breaking the sound barrier with a sharp snap. High above, the reinforced glass of the control tower explodes. The window spiderwebs instantly and blows inward. The paratrooper officer is thrown violently across the room. The radio handset flies from his grip, trailing its cord. He crashes into a radar console, sliding down, leaving a streak of bright red blood on the metal panel.
Breach! Breach!
At the top of the tower stairwell, a Marine squad leader triggers the detonator. Boom! The steel door to the cab blasts off its hinges. It clatters onto the metal grating of the catwalk. A flash grenade loops into the room. Bang! Marines storm through the smoke, weapons tight against their shoulders. The remaining paratroopers inside cover their ears, staggering from the concussion. They reach for their weapons. It is too late. Double taps ring out. Pop, 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 pop. Paratroopers crumple where they stand. One falls over the flight data desk, sweeping paperwork onto the floor. Another tries to dive behind the main server rack. A burst of automatic fire catches him midair. He slams into the metal cabinet, sparks showering down from the severed cables. The surviving enemies retreat to the outer observation deck. They scramble through the open blast door, firing blindly behind them. Bullets spark off the doorframe. The Marines push forward, stepping over bodies and shattered glass. They reach the threshold. They level their rifles at the balcony.
Drop it! Drop it!
The remaining paratroopers are backed against the railing. Behind them is a 100-foot drop to the concrete below. They look at the muzzles of the Marine rifles. They look at the drop. The fight drains out of them. Weapons clatter to the steel deck. Hands go up. 900 hours. Main terminal atrium. The morning sun finally breaks through the cloud cover, sending shafts of sharp light through the gaping hole in the ceiling. Dust motes dance in the beams, mixing with the lingering gray smoke. The deafening roar of combat has faded. It is replaced by the low groans of the wounded and the sharp barking orders of NCOs. The marble floor, once pristine, is a mosaic of shattered glass, spent brass casings, and dark, sticky pools of blood. A long line of defeated paratroopers shuffles through the wreckage of the duty-free zone. Their helmets are gone. Their hands are zip-tied tightly behind their backs. Their heads hang low. Marines flank the column, weapons lowered but ready, eyes scanning the prisoners for any sudden movement. A Marine shoves a stumbling prisoner forward. The paratrooper trips over a fallen display stand, rights himself, and keeps walking. In the center of the atrium, near the ruined fountain, a triage station operates with ruthless efficiency. Navy corpsmen kneel in the blood-slicked water. They work feverishly.
I need pressure here. Hold it!
A corpsman yells. He packs gauze into a jagged shrapnel wound on a Marine's leg. The wounded man grits his teeth, his knuckles white as he grips the edge of a bench. Beside him, a captured paratrooper lies on a stretcher, chest heaving, an IV bag taped to a nearby statue. A medic checks the drip, treating the enemy with the same mechanical speed as his own. Outside, the deep thumping of heavy rotors shakes the glass walls again. A massive transport helicopter descends onto the cratered apron. The downwash kicks up a storm of wet ash and debris. The rear ramp hits the tarmac with a heavy clang. Teams of stretcher bearers lift the critically wounded. They jog toward the waiting aircraft, boots splashing through puddles. They slide the stretchers onto the metal deck. The loadmaster signals the pilots. The engines whine up to full power. The helicopter lifts off, banking away toward the fleet offshore. A Marine captain stands by the smashed main entrance. He surveys the destruction. Smoke rises from the burnt-out hull of the armored vehicle at the curb. He presses his radio handset. "Command, this is Bravo 6. Airport is secure. Resistance neutralized. We have the airfield." He releases the button. He lowers his rifle. He takes a slow breath of the acrid air. Across the runway, a U.S. flag is zip-tied to the railing of the control tower. It snaps in the wind, a bright patch of color against the gray, smoking ruin.